church every Sunday, online or in the sanctuary, receiving a word from the Lord to uplift my spirits. But what I really need to know is how to make it through the week. I need to know how to handle me. Someone please help me. Church. What's really going on? After church. Monday to Sunday morning. After church. Benediction is said. Please keep it real with me. After church. Don't worry, don't fret. After church. I think we found an outlet. After church. I'm gonna keep it real with you. P-Rod and Lady Reed. After church. After church.
Hey everybody, I'm here chilling with P-Rod. We are in our after church. We just want to greet everybody that's listening to us, and after church is just just what it says. We just kind of chilling after church, life after church, so you can know that there are issues and real life issues that we deal with after we get the word and how to apply it. So listen up after church.
So this P-Rod, we want to kind of get into something today that I think is very effective. Is dealing with relationships and personal situation that we dealt with just a couple of days ago. There was a situation going on in our garage where we were getting some work done and we wanted something to be moved, and it involved my son and my wife. And my wife is the kind of person who does a lot of things. She works hard. She'll, improvise and make sure other people don't have to do things. There was something I felt like my son should do that she went ahead and took care of. And I was like, why you don't let him do it? He needs to learn how to make certain things happen and so on and so forth. And she was like, why did you have to get involved in it? And when she said that, it upset me. It made me really, really upset, because I'm like, really? You asked me why did I have to get involved? I mean, I'm the daddy. I'm the daddy. You the mama. We both involved in the situation, and so it kind of stimulated a little bit. It kind of got a little bit heated. We got in the vehicle. We started riding, and we just kind of had a shouting match for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then I didn't make the decision within myself. I'm done. I'm just gonna kind of shut down, because if they don't want me in it, I won't be in it. Let's see how it works while I'm not in it. See, that's the stuff that happens on the inside of people that we really don't talk about. But we had to deal with it. And how was your response? What did you feel when we got into it like that?
Well, he took to me what I said wrong, but that doesn't matter. It's how he took it, so I had to consider that. I didn't at the moment. I mean, I felt like he was selfish, grievous. He had shut down and decided this is how I'm gonna be, and this is how I'm gonna be for a while. I'm one that don't like to take arguments or whatever disagreements we have long. Let's go ahead and deal with it. Let's wrap it up and move forward, because you can't take for granted the time that you have together. I'm very strong in believing that. So we did, and we went on, like he said, to whatever we had to do, and it was very cold. It was
very
like
cold,
a winter season inside the truck.
I wasn't saying nothing. She wasn't saying much, and we decided not to necessarily deal with each other. Now, neither one of us said that was right. But sometimes in relationships, those things happen.
It does.
Where we get into something. People look at you sometimes, and we love each other tremendously. We've been together for quite a long time, and our marriage is a good marriage. But there are situations that happen in life that, you have disagreements, and it comes with the relationship. And that's why you have to be married to the right person, because if not, you'll immediately get a divorce as soon as there's a disagreement.
Yeah.
And those things happen. I mean, the Bible says be angry but sin not. Mm-hmm. And I was in a situation where I didn't handle it initially correctly, because I had a personal response, but we're real humans. And sometimes your personal response is, all right, let me show you what time it is. And at the same time, on the other side, which is really not like her, she came back at me strong, and she was like, okay, well, whatever that is. She didn't know that's the decision I had made, but since I wasn't talking, she wasn't talking either. And so we went a couple of days. No, we went another day. I had to preach that night. Matter of fact, it was a Wednesday, and I said to her, this kind of stuff always happens when I got to minister, and I got to keep my mind right. So I'm just gonna let this stuff ride tonight. And so we went through it. We didn't go to bed angry at each other. We at least spoke and that kind of thing, but it wasn't resolved. The next day, later in the day, I decided, okay, I'm gonna tell you really where I was, and I told her, I said, it really bothered me when you said, you just stay out of it. And I'm saying to myself, I'm the father. You're the mother. We're raising our kids together. Really? You telling me to stay out of it? I'm not going to stay out of anything, and you are not either. We're both in this full thing together. And so we really kind of had a conversation and just kind of talked. She listened to me, which is not something that we always do. Sometimes we interrupt each other. We go through certain things. But at the end of the day, she listened to me. I listened to her. We talked it out. And we came to a place, it wasn't easy, where we brought resolution. But here's what's critical about that. If you don't realize that if you never communicate, you'll never get things right. If you don't obey what the Bible says about being angry and not sinning, if you don't recognize that, things happen, it rains on the just and the unjust, everything's not perfect, and there are going to be disagreements, but we made a decision in our relationship that we wouldn't go to bed a certain type of way, that we'd have a conversation, that even though we're working through certain things, that we wouldn't be harsh and we wouldn't take it out on our kids and take it out on the full relationship. Those are critical things that you must understand, that even in conflict, there has to be a level of communication that we realize this is not big enough to fall out. Other people break up over things that are greater than this. Why are we in this situation? And so we wanted to kind of talk to you about really some of the principles that we live by. We live by number one, that she is number one to me and I'm number one to you.
Yes.
That's it. After God, it's us. And the second thing is, one of her big pet things is we must communicate. Tell them about that a little bit.
We must communicate. Even in the, going back to the argument, even in the shouting and hollering for however long it lasted, you still got to be grounded in the things that you say. And one thing that we try to both do, and sometimes that don't always happen because you can't say things to offend each other, but not to just be so far left to you just say all kind of things that out of your face that you really didn't mean, but because you were in the heat of the moment, it came out, and that's where it is. But I myself personally, and I can only speak for myself personally, that I really try to think about what I'm getting ready to say at that moment. That's not hard. That's not easy for everybody to do, but you have to. And even when we sat down to talk and really get some resolution to where we were, I had to hear, and I really had to listen. Okay, what I meant didn't come off like what I meant, and my husband was offended. So that's where I had to just place my hat. And God, the whole time we was in silent mode, I had to really ask God, what did I do? Well, how do I need to respond when we finally do come around and talk to each other? And I know that sounds all deep, but you really have to get wise counsel in the midst of every part of your life. And even in those situations, you're going to have to ask God, okay, give me a strategy because I done messed up here.
Well, and because you have to understand and realize, and we both talk to each other about this, words are eternal, man. Things that come out of your mouth, the Bible says that the power of life and death is in your tongue, and so you can say things that can sting and that can hurt, and that can inflict wounds that are on the inside of people that you don't know, and they live with them, and it causes fractures in your relationships, and it causes breakups in your relationships, and so you really have to be careful as to who you're in a relationship with and what you're choosing. I like to say it like this: you can't formulate a lifelong relationship because of what you see and because of what you hear. If there is not a commonality in your respect and focus on God, if you don't know Him the same way, if you don't have the same perspective, hearing the same things, seeing the same things about who He is and His position in life and marriage, and you come into a relationship or decide that you may be going to get in a relationship with someone who doesn't fit that mold, it is not a good situation, because if you don't share the same values and you don't share the same goals and you don't share the same perspective of God and faith,
it'll come out.
Then it'll come out later and you'll find yourself miserable or the relationship never working. So don't allow your personal status or what you want. I'm not saying that God can't give you somebody fine and beautiful, but make sure that the internal parts of them equal, because you got to live together forever if that's what you choose to do. And so I speak to a single person, make sure the decisions you make are bigger than what your eyes see. I speak to a married person, make sure the decisions you make recognize that both of you are as one. And so when you're inflicting something on one, you're inflicting it on the other. So and we don't want to see that happen.
That's right.
We worked our situations out. That's not the only situations, but there have been situations like that. And so when we leave the church, when we leave the organ, when we leave teaching and preaching, we have real life issues, and those real life issues have to be resolved.
Yes.
And the way you do that is keeping God first, trusting in Him, allowing Him to speak to you while you're not speaking to the other person, and then yield to Him when He says it's time. Go ahead and get over this and forgive finally.
Yes.
Don't give a forgive that's just for the moment. Forgive and let it be over with and move forward. That's how relationships grow. That's how they work. And we just wanted to be transparent and share with you that these are principles that have helped us grow in our marriage.
Yes.
And our marriage is not perfect, but we're doing the best that we can, and we keep God in the center, and we love each other, and we're working so hard.
Yes.
It's a great thing, but we want to give you things that are insights to not just what happens in church, but after church. I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, we'll be back with you soon, but I hope you enjoyed After Church. This is about making the relationship work regardless of what happens. God bless you. We'll see you on the next time. Tell them goodbye, Lady Marie.
Goodbye. See everybody later.
We'll holler after church.